Hungarian. Do you even know how Hungarian sounds?
No.
It doesn't sound like any other European language, let me tell you. It's so strange. I'm sorry.
Hello. Yeah, so we both speak
6 languages.
Yeah, which are pretty much the same ones, with the exception of our mother tongue, which for me is Portuguese.
For me, it's Serbian.
And then in addition to that, we both speak English, French, Spanish, German, and Korean.
I'm currently learning Italian though, and I've been picking up on a bit of Portuguese.
And I've been trying to learn a little bit of Serbian.
A little bit. Zdravo. Well done, well done.
Oh, for sure.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say out of the languages I know, German and Korean were the hardest.
Korean's so different than any other language, so we had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
Like any word, any like grammar structure, everything is just different.
It's pretty much opposite to what I knew. And for German, I find it really hard. Grammar is really difficult. Of course, every language has memorizing, but in German is even more.
Yeah, that's true. It's very confusing. But that's the same thing for me, actually. I find Serbian to be one of the harder languages. Serbian actually has kind of like in Latin, 7 different ways of declination, like, you know, accusative, dative, genitive, all these different things. So based on what you talk about, the ending changes. I have no idea how that works in Serbian. I just know it based off my feeling. By feeling, but I've never learned it. So it's actually very complicated, I think, if you try to learn Serbian.
Oh no. When I look at Polish, I don't even know where to begin, because it's like there are so many consonants together.
I know. I really don't know how you're supposed to read that.
Yeah, and then what is the dot on top of the Z?
Yeah. That might be a Z, because in Serbian we also have a Z, but it might not be that. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's SZs, CZs. I can try to read this. I think it says, "Czy możesz to przeczytać?" Something like that. What I'm guessing this means is like, can you translate this? Because możesz in Serbian also means can you. To this, przeczytać, I don't know. In Serbian we say prevesti. It's not exactly the same, but there's so maybe there's a pr.
It's close enough.
It's close enough. So maybe it means can you translate this?
Yeah, for me that means nothing. There's nothing I can compare it to.
Yeah, because I speak a Slavic language, so I think it's easier for me to kind of guess.
Yeah.
But like I did videos with Anya, the Polish girl, before, and I find Polish to be one of the most difficult Slavic languages, even as a Slavic speaker. So yeah, it's definitely complicated.
But even though it's a Slavic language, why do you think it's the most difficult?
Well, if you look where Serbia is geographically located and where Poland is, like we're kind of like at the opposite spectrums of like Europe, because Poland is very north, we're very south. I don't know, Polish is kind of famous for having like a little bit harder pronunciations and everything. We're more distant relatives when it comes to languages. Hungarian. Do you even know how Hungarian sounds?
No, not that comes to my mind.
So, because I come from Serbia and Austria, Hungary is like in between. So I've heard it a lot. I've driven through Hungary like a million of times, and like I've heard people speak and like the radio and stuff like that. It doesn't sound like any other European language, let me tell you. Like, if there's a language, it doesn't sound like any other language. It's Hungarian. It's so strange. Like, it has no connection to other languages. So even me, just this sentence, no idea.
No idea.
No.
Some words, they seem familiar, but they mean something else completely in Portuguese, you know? Do they even read as it's written, for example?
Probably not.
Probably not, right? El tudo est orvazni. Probably wrong.
Yeah. I'm sorry for all the Hungarian people watching.
Yeah.
I just know how to say like jó estét, which means good evening, I think, or good day. Yeah.
Yes, definitely difficult.
For sure.
As we said, there's nothing we can base ourselves from to even try to understand.
All right.
You could have at least put in the Romanized version of that. Yeah, I mean...
Japanese.
So Japanese, when it's written, of course, we cannot understand it.
Yeah.
But when it's spoken or romanized, I feel like you can understand a little bit.
Also, there are certain words that are similar, but also I think just popular culture in general.
Yeah, like
Especially if you live in
animes.
Korea and stuff, you kind of get to like learn certain words in Japanese, I feel like.
Because I feel like some Korean words are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like for example, mire, which is future in Korean,
Yeah.
is like mirai in
Yeah.
Japanese. There's a lot of words that are very similar sounding,
Right.
so you can kind of understand. But also, if you grow up like watching animes and stuff, like you pick up on some, on some
Yeah.
expressions.
I also heard that Japanese and Korean have almost the same grammar structure.
Yes.
Even though the words can be very different, the grammar structure is the same.
Yeah, and also like phonetics-wise, I think it would be quite okay for me because it's
Yeah.
very similar to Portuguese. Like
Right.
Portuguese has all the sounds
Yeah.
that Japanese has, I
And
think.
Serbian too, because Serbian is
Yeah.
also very like
Yeah.
phonetically exactly the way that you say it. That's how you read it. That's how you write it.
Yeah.
So it's very, it's good. But I think that the complicated part with Japanese is
It's
that
the
there's
writing part.
3 writing systems.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and even the grammar, maybe for us it's like easier now since we know Korean, but maybe for somebody who doesn't
Yeah.
know any Asian languages.
Korean grammar is really hard
It
for
is
us.
really hard. It's
Yeah.
like one of the toughest parts of Korean. So definitely somebody who doesn't have that base would have a little bit of trouble.
And also, if
when
you
it
think
comes to
about
Japanese.
it, like English grammar, the way that the sentences are structured, and Korean
Completely
grammar,
different.
it's like exactly the opposite. So I think that would be the case for Japanese too, if the grammar is similar.
Yeah.
Arabic. Arabic, hands down, one of the most difficult languages,
Oh, yeah.
I think. I think the difficult part as well of Arabic is that, like, where do you start when you want to start learning Arabic? Because every single country that speaks Arabic has their own dialect, has their own way of speaking.
Yeah.
So, like, you can choose to learn, like, a general, like, Arabic, but that will also not make you be able to communicate in
with
every
everybody,
country.
yeah.
So I feel like that's super hard. They have their own, of course, like writing system as well.
They read it on the like different direction.
Yeah,
right?
they write
So-
they read from right
Yeah.
to left.
So that would be very complicated if you like write your whole life from like left to right, and then
Right.
suddenly you have to write the other way. It's definitely challenging.
And also, they have a lot of sounds that we don't have. So a lot of throat sounds, a lot of like H sounds that
Yeah.
we just have to like practice, I guess, to get down.
Yeah, maybe if you only speak English, you might have a little bit more trouble because
Yeah, exactly.
English
Like,
definitely
English
doesn't
has
have
no
throat sounds.
Yeah, no throat sounds. So I think, yeah, definitely super hard.
Yeah, out of the ones we talked about so far, that one is definitely the hardest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Oh.
Oh.
Okay. There we found a more difficult language
No,
here.
but honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like for us, since
Yeah.
we know Korean, it wouldn't be as hard as Arabic.
Yeah, because of the hanja, so
Yeah.
the Chinese characters.
Yes. You still
True.
have like some similar words or,
But I didn't really study hanja very well,
Yeah.
Korean like characters. I didn't study them very well in school, so I don't know if I would be able to like pick up on Chinese that well.
I mean, just starting from the writing system, that's super difficult. Like
Yeah.
I would take half an hour to write that middle one. There are so many tiny strokes.
Right.
And also the thing about Mandarin is the intonation,
Right.
like
There's 5 different tones.
Yeah.
If you want to speak, so Mandarin 5 tones, Cantonese 7 tones.
yeah, like
You might say one thing, you want to say one thing,
Thing
you
and
say
then
a
say
completely
something
different
different,
thing.
yeah.
You embarrass yourself like an idiot. like you really have to be careful about these things. So yeah, definitely hard.
yeah, if you only speak one language, sometimes it can be a little bit harder.
For sure. Like how do you speak Mandarin with an English accent? Like it's impossible. Like an American being like, wash or run, like no. Like that's bad.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are definitely the most difficult languages. I would also add probably Hindi or like different Indian languages.
Yeah.
Because they also have their own writing system. They also have their own like way of pronouncing things. Yeah, I think that would probably be also a hard language. I would add Xhosa, South African language, the click language, where they do,
don't know.
like, and they speak like while doing tongue clicks. That's hella difficult because we don't know tongue clicks.
Yeah.
So you have to learn all these different kinds of tongue clicks to be able to speak the language.
Yeah.
So I think that would be difficult. Maybe beatboxers could
learn
manage.
that.
Yeah. I think as a polyglot, the way that I look at the difficulty of a language would be, does it have their own writing system? How difficult is the grammar? How is the pronunciation? Like, does it have a lot of different sounds from other languages that I know? Ooh, the headache.
My mother tongue, which is Portuguese, we don't really have that. And once you get to like, you know, Korean, which is a language that's very important, you have so many levels. It's applicable like on an everyday basis. It gets complicated for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree with all the points you made.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of how relatable it is to what I already know.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think once you start learning certain languages, if you learn a language within the same group, like language group, it's much easier to learn. So
yeah,
Italian.
like I wouldn't even consider I speak Italian, but I can definitely like understand.
For sure. I think, yeah, it depends on like the exposure you have to the language, like the availability to practice with people.
Yeah.
How good also the learning materials are, because certain languages, it's harder to learn them because they're not as famous.
Accessible.
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about African languages too, like for us, sometimes it's not even available, like materials to learn them, so.
So if I had to rank the languages that I know, like from easiest to most difficult, I would say English is definitely the easiest language. I think Spanish would be the second easiest because it's my fifth language, but I learned it quite easily. While it does have some difficult grammar points, it's quite easy to learn how to write, how to read. The words are not that difficult, I think, knowing French. After that, French maybe?
French, definitely French. You
cannot
put German as being easier than French, come on.
But French is harder to write than German. Like when I have to write in French, I have to think about like writing correctly much more than when I do in German. And then after that, Korean or Serbian, I think they're they're both kind of in that middle section of both being kind of difficult. Both have difficult grammars, both have their own writing systems. I would argue that Serbian Cyrillic is easier to learn how to read and write than Hangul, even though many people always say Hangul is the easiest.
For me, English, definitely the easiest. After that, I think I would put Spanish too, even though like I'm not completely fluent. I think the sounds are very straightforward. Grammar is not hard because it's pretty similar to what I already know. Then after that, well, of course, Portuguese is easier for me because I grew up speaking it. French and Portuguese are both hard, I would say. And then following that, I have like German and Korean. I think they were both really hard for me for different reasons.
So I think we got it down. Korean hardest, and English easiest.
Yeah, and then the middle part is like questionable.
Yeah, it depends on.
It depends on where you're coming from, basically.
Exactly.
So today, as polyglots, we talked about the difficult languages.
And if you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.